Before we begin, it is important to remember that the words you are about to hear come from the reported private revelations of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich recorded in the book Life and Revelations of Anne Catherine Emmerich. These are not part of the public deposit of the Catholic faith and are not binding on the faithful. They should be approached with prayer, prudence, and personal discernment in light of the Church's teaching. Yet for nearly 2 centuries, these striking visions have sparked discussion because they speak of a time of great confusion, a false church, deep division among the clergy, and what she called the greatest schism the world has ever seen. Listen carefully to these prophecies exactly as they were recorded and discern them with wisdom and faith. I saw very clearly the errors, the aberrations, and the countless sins of men. I saw the folly and the wickedness of their actions against all truth and all reason. Priests were among them, and I gladly endured my suffering so that they may return to a better mind. I had another vision of the Great Tribulation. It seems to me that a concession was demanded from the clergy which could not be granted. I saw many older priests, especially one who wept bitterly. A few younger ones who were also weeping, but others, and the lukewarm among them, readily did what was demanded. It was as if people were splitting into 2 camps. I saw also the relationship between the 2 popes. I saw how baleful would be the consequences of this false church. I saw it increase in size. Heretics of every kind came into the city. The local clergy grew lukewarm and I saw a great darkness. Then the vision seemed to extend on every side. Whole Catholic communities were being suppressed, harassed, confined, and deprived of their freedom. I saw many churches closed down. Great miseries everywhere. Wars and bloodshed. A wild and ignorant mob took violent action. But it did not last long. Once more, I saw that the Church of Peter was undermined by a plan evolved by the secret sect while storms were damaging it. But I also saw that help was coming when distress had reached its peak. I saw again the Blessed Virgin ascend on the Church and spread a mantle over it. I saw the Holy Father surrounded by traitors and in great distress about the Church. He had visions and apparitions in his hour of greatest need. I saw many good, pious bishops, but they were weak and wavering. Their cowardice often got the upper hand. Then I saw darkness spreading around and people no longer seeking the true Church. Then I saw an apparition of the Mother of God. And she said that the tribulation would be very great. She added that people must pray fervently with outstretched arms. Be it only long enough to say 3 Our Fathers. This was the way her Son prayed for them on the cross. They must rise at 12 at night and pray in this manner. And they must keep coming to the Church. They must pray above all for the Church and for darkness to leave Rome. She, the Holy Mother, said a great many other things that it pains me to relate. She said that if only one priest could offer the bloodless sacrifice as worthily and with the same disposition as the apostles, he could avert all the disasters that are to come. To my knowledge, the people in the Church did not see the apparition, but they must have been stirred by something supernatural because as soon as the Holy Virgin said that they must pray to God with outstretched arms, they all raised their arms. These were all good and devout people, and they did not know where help and guidance should be sought. There were no traitors and enemies among them, yet they were afraid of one another. One can judge thereby what the situation was like. I also saw the various regions of the earth. My guide Jesus named Europe and, pointing to a small and sandy region, he uttered these words, "Here is Prussia, East Germany, the enemy." Then he showed me another place to the north and he said, "This is Moscow, the land of Moscow, bringing many evils." I see many excommunicated ecclesiastics who do not seem to be concerned about it nor even aware of it. Yet they are excommunicated whenever they cooperate in enterprises, enter into associations, and embrace opinions on which an anathema has been cast. It can be seen thereby that God ratifies the decrees, orders, and interdictions issued by the head of the Church, and that he keeps them in force even though men show no concern for them, reject them, or laugh them to scorn. I see that many pastors allowed themselves to be taken up with ideas that were dangerous to the Church. They were building a great, strange, An extravagant church. Everyone was to be admitted in it in order to be united and have equal rights, evangelicals, Catholic sects of every description. Such was to be the new church. But God had other designs. I see that when the second coming of Christ approaches, a bad priest will do much harm to the church. When the time of the reign of the Antichrist is near, a false religion will appear, which will be opposed to the unity of God and His church. This will cause the greatest schism the world has ever known. The nearer the time of the end, the more the darkness of Satan will spread on earth. The greater will be the number of the children of corruption, and the number of the just will correspondingly diminish. They built a large, singular, extravagant church which was to embrace all creeds with equal rights, evangelicals, Catholics, and all denominations. A true communion of the unholy with one shepherd and one flock. There was to be a pope, a celibate pope without possessions. All was made ready, many things finished. But in place of an altar were only abomination and desolation. Such was the new church to be, and it was for it that He had set fire to the old one, but God designed otherwise. I came to the church of Peter and Paul and saw a dark world of distress, confusion, and corruption through which shone countless graces from thousands of saints in their repose. I saw the fatal consequences of this counterfeit church. I saw it increase. I saw heretics of all kinds flock into the city. I saw the ever-increasing tepidity of the clergy. The circle of darkness ever widening. Again, I saw in the midst of these disasters the 12 new apostles laboring in different countries, unknown to one another, each receiving streams of living water from on high. They all did the same work. They knew not whence they received their tasks, but as soon as one was finished, another was ready for them. The Jews shall return to Palestine and become Christians toward the end of the world. Very bad times will come when non-Catholics will lead many people astray. A great confusion will result. I saw the battle also. The enemies were far more numerous, but the small army of the faithful cut down whole rows of enemy soldiers. During the battle, the Blessed Virgin stood on a hill wearing a suit of armor. It was a terrible war. At the end, only a few fighters for the just cause survived, but the victory was theirs. Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, pray for us.